Hey guys, I'm Kevin, and I basically run an online business where I give out teaching courses of how you can start your online business. And today I have someone here with me who is as well part of the community. Her name is Victoria, and she's going to basically explain her journey and her interest behind why she decided to start an online business. So first of all, Victoria, thank you so much for coming on this call today.
Hi, I'm very happy to be.
Awesome. How are you doing this morning?
Good, thank you very much. Good.
Good, awesome. So Victoria, for those who may not know you, would you be able to explain just briefly who you are, your background, where you, like basically your interest eventually into the online business?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for inviting me for this call. So I come from Latvia. I have lived there for over 20 years and then moved to Belgium by, let's say, destiny.
Oh, really?
And yes,
That's cool.
and I've spent here, well, 19 years now, and it's been a journey in itself. I've been hired for a traineeship that would last 1 year, and well, I'm still here after 19 years.
Okay.
Not in the same company. It's the third company that I work with, but yeah. Nonetheless, I've already established my family here, so so I'm an immigrant or an expat, whatever you want to call it. At some point, I realized that while I had no kids, working full time and being fully dedicated to my employer was perfectly nice, and I started looking for alternatives in order to um, in order to find ways to be still present as a mother and be able to earn my income and and not die in the process.
I
And
got you.
yeah, well, my kids are small. It's 4 and 1.5, almost 1.5. So
Okay.
it's yeah. I'm also I have to commute every day. I spend about 2.5 hours commuting every day,
Mm,
so it's
really?
quite yeah. I used to live in Brussels, but when
Okay.
we when we decided to have a family, we moved out because we could not afford living in
Yeah, it's
Brussels
expensive in
in
Brussels.
with the ambitious how to say we
After,
wanted to have more space and we wanted to be closer to the nature, so we had to move out of town because we couldn't afford living in the town.
yeah.
And so I am commuting these days, and it's had a toll on my health and on my overall energy levels, and I would say even motivation, because I find myself very frustrated, you know, and not being fully full of energy at
Yeah.
work because I'm still not making my nights. My little one is still not sleeping all night through,
Yeah.
and then coming home being exhausted and not being a good mom and being a tired and nervous mom, and
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know in the end not making it anywhere instead of trying to make everywhere. So
Yes.
I was
Yes.
actively looking for solutions in the beginning of this year,
Mm-hmm.
and finally what I found was in the beginning of the year I thought, oh, I'm going to try and do a blog. I thought this was way out. And a
Mm-hmm.
couple of months after that, after starting a blog, I found SFM, and clearly this is this is the I don't want to say it's a panacea, but for me
Yeah.
this has been the magic unraveling,
Yeah.
So
Oh wow. Yeah, I get that. That's really interesting as well, because I feel like you really had like this experience where you knew at some point you needed to have a change. Like you needed something
absolutely.
to happen, because commuting, and with your kids, and the fact that you were just not satisfied anymore. It's very interesting
Mhm.
how like eventually you understood that, like, now I need to do something about it.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
it was yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. So in so far, so you said that was beginning of the year that you joined SFM, is that right?
No, in the beginning of the year, I started looking for options,
Oh, right, right,
and
right.
I found SFM in June, so I joined at the end of June.
Gotcha, gotcha. So I'm curious, what is that thing that made you see or made you believe that that change that you needed could be found in SFM?
Well, the video that I watched, it was the video of Emil Sandel, where he explains how, you know, his career in engineering was good, but not satisfying when the family came up, and
Yeah.
how he, you know, how he managed to replace his income and not have to go to work anymore.
Yeah.
For me, already in my head, it ticked, and I said, wow, if
Right.
if I could just replace my income and stop going, you know, spending 2.5 hours every day, that would already be a huge relief for me. But then, you know, I understood with time that actually a lot of people make quite a lot of money, so there is actually no limit to how much you
Right.
can earn, given that you're consistent in your action and you follow the market and you develop your marketing skills. And I thought, well, I'm someone who is very dedicated and interested in self-development and professional development. So clearly, this is something I could do. You know, I'm not afraid of learning new things.
Absolutely.
And more and more, you know. And then they said how we were explained about the fact that technology has moved forward significantly, and we don't even need anymore to have incredible IT skills to build up the websites and start marketing. And all of these arguments, they just, you know, they just
It
came in
changes, right?
strides
Yeah,
home,
yeah.
you know.
Exactly, exactly. That's a good point, because I feel like even though, and you're so right, even though we see the trends of how coming from a traditional system of building a business as opposed to now, it's so much more accessible. But yet I still feel, and I don't know if you can relate, but I still feel like a lot of fear from people to even start their own businesses, even though now it's so much more accessible. But it seems like for you, you didn't really have that issue as much. Like you kind of understood that it's doable, and now it's more accessible than any time before. And then you can kind of like just go with it, with the dedication and
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think on the one hand there is already quite a lot that is there. All you need to do is just you know, find the service and choose if you want to go free version or paid version
Right.
for for different elements of marketing. There is still quite a lot that you need to learn if you've never done it before. I mean,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm having a steep learning curve here, so but
So am I, trust me.
yeah,
I am as well. I'm like, oh my gosh, like there's so
yeah.
much. But yeah.
All the details and elements, and because there is a technical angle, there is a marketing angle, there
Right.
is a psychology angle, then there are all
Yeah.
these platforms you have to choose. There is also financial angle. You have to plan very well what you're going to do, what you can
Yeah.
afford. So
Yeah.
it's, of course, this is part of being an entrepreneur. You have to take you know, you have to take strides in each part of this
Hmm.
entrepreneurship. So I don't mind. I mean, I'm actually quite interested. I mean, part of the story is that when I came to Belgium,
Yeah.
I because I was assisting a project management team, I said, my background is in economics. I'm
Okay.
interested in management. So actually, I did a distance learning MBA, which
Okay.
gave me, let's say, basic understanding uh, of a lot of different things you need to do as a manager and as a leader sometimes also when there is a question of change management, for example, which was one of my most interesting subjects. So
Yeah.
actually, I like to evolve and grow and you know, do new things when I feel I have exhausted myself in the previous things,
Absolutely.
you know. So
Absolutely.
it just came in the right moment for me
Yeah.
in my life. So
Yeah.
um, I don't think we should be afraid of changing because, you know, as JJ says, nothing changes, then nothing changes. So,
Right.
you
Exactly.
know, get
Exactly.
somewhere, we need to, you know, start moving, and that's what I think SFM is helping us do on a daily basis with all
Yeah.
the support they're giving us.
So what do you reckon for you that the biggest value that you've taken out so far being a part of this journey and like you say, like learning these new skills, but at the same time, there's like the financial aspect of it, the marketing, the psychology. What do you think personally for you that has given you as much as value, more value than anything else?
I think every bit in itself is very valuable, but I
Okay.
think the biggest value I have personally experienced so far is knowing that I'm not alone. You know, there
Mm,
is a whole beautiful community out there that, you know, every
yeah,
step of the way that you feel stuck, or you feel like you're losing your momentum, or I don't know, or you're just wondering what is awaiting for you in the next step. There is a whole community that is going to give you a hand when you fall, and going to give you advice when you ask.
that's
And
huge.
you
Yeah,
know, you know, there is no way. You know, if you want to fail, you can fail. That's your choice. It's your free choice. But there is no way you are going to fail if you want to continue and if you want to succeed. And for
right.
me, this is the biggest value that I get in the SFM, because it's not just you know, I thought about it several times. You know, if I just
Yeah,
did a university, shouldn't it be better because they're licensed and because they're recognized and I don't know what? And no, it wouldn't be better. I'd rather
right.
prefer to do SFM, really.
Yeah, that's such a good point because honestly, I'm still pretty much like kind of shocked of how many people are willing to help genuinely with not getting
Yeah,
anything in return. You know,
exactly.
it's
Yeah.
crazy. Like I even I know I probably I'm not sure if you remember, but I put in a one like a video that I did to kind of get like
Hmm.
feedback on it because honestly sometimes I put out that I'm like I don't know if it's good, I don't know if it's gonna work, and I stress out
Yeah.
and I freak out. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm like, let me
Yeah.
just put it out there and see if anyone somewhere would say something to help me out, right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
there's so many people that are just so willingly to give constructive feedback. And there was even this guy, he literally like, you know, like in the video, like he would identify like the minute and the second of a particular typo in my subtitle. And I'm like,
Wow.
what?
Wow.
Like who's paying you to do that? Like I don't have
Yeah.
the money to give you to you. So, and I start realizing like how much the community just is, and that's what you're saying is that as well is something that I value so much. So now is how many people are willingly to really help out and to
Mm.
help you grow in your business, and so much better than any education, you
Yeah.
know, the yeah academic education that you want to get. You know.
No, exactly. It doesn't have the same, because when you go to university, it's more about competition and
Yeah.
more about, you know, showing how excellent you are. And so in the
Exactly.
end, it's not a fertile ground, I find.
No.
Whereas here, everyone wants you to succeed. You know,
Yeah.
we're all in the same boat,
Yeah.
but at the same time, everybody has their own story. Everybody has their own niche, so
Yeah.
there is no competition. And this is what I love about it.
Yeah.
Everybody can do, you know, affiliate marketing, or they
Yeah.
want if they want to do, you know, marketing of their own products, or e-commerce. You know, you do what you want, and you know, everybody will be helping. Whoever knows the answer and sees your question, they they are going to
That's
answer.
right. That's right.
And this is the how to say, um, the fact that we are all in different parts of the world is almost irrelevant, because we are so spread. You know, you think you're on your own in front of your computer. There's this whole life happening on the other side of, of the computer that is making you continue to
Absolutely.
forge on to succeed. So that's
Yeah.
for me is just amazing.
Has that been as well something that kind of has helped you or motivated you, like when you came across, I don't know, difficulties or certain barriers? Has that particularly like the help of the community, has that really helped you
Yeah.
to overcome some of these fears or some of the barriers that you've had?
Yeah, absolutely. And not only helped me to overcome, but also inspired me, because
Mm.
you know, you don't, how to say, you step into SFM gradually because of the funnel, as you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, when you just pay the entrance fee, you know, you look around and you see, is it even worth it? I told
Right.
myself I will pay 29.95, never mind, I'll see what it is.
Yeah.
And then more and more you discover what the story is about, and
Yeah.
what the people are there, and what kind of different challenges you're being asked to go through in order
Right.
master your skills, you know,
Right.
and all the webinars and all the people and all the specific groups of people, you know, who have
Mm,
brought you in. I
mm,
mean, there is so much that at some point you're like, this would be really just stupid to give up, you know,
right.
just plain and simple. And so
Exactly.
you're like, actually, I see the point in going further and getting further into the funnel, because that will give me these and these advantages, you know, give me more access to courses, or sort of direct one-on-one contact with the trainers, with the coaches. I mean, there is so much value. So
It's
yeah,
overwhelming sometimes as well.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what do you think would be then that one of the biggest challenges or fears that you've had in the month that you've been involved so far? What do you think would that be for you?
Well, personally, for me, I'm someone who is how to say, very enthusiastic. So I would want to go rather fast through the modules and start
Okay.
marketing.
Yeah.
And as a mom and as someone who is working also and commuting, I don't have a lot of time. So for me, the biggest frustration was that I cannot progress as fast as I would like to.
Okay.
And you know, handling that, the personal
Battle.
ambition
Yeah. Okay.
versus, you know, the reality, that's been a difficult part. um, and I feel like, you know, I need to continue keeping the momentum in order not to slack down and just say, okay, because I'm still not through my modules. I'm still at the
Right.
beginning of module
Yeah.
5.
Of course. Of
And
course.
yeah, and I want to be thorough on the one hand, but I don't want to be too slow on the other, so as not to lose the momentum. So that was the most difficult part. But in truth, I mean, I'm the one who sets my own pace. So I know I'm not late for any train. I'm not late for the exam, because there is no exam. You know, the only exam is how well I managed to make my campaign perform. You know, that's the
Yeah.
biggest exam. So fairly enough.
But you're right though, because it sounds quite difficult, because I wonder like how would you approach that, because you do have a lot of different other responsibilities, but at the same time you're kind of in this new journey that would eventually help and bring solutions to these other problems, but then like it's kind of finding this balance in between. So I'm wondering like how do
Mm.
you approach that? Like, how do you mentally, because I would not know. So I'm thinking like, that's super interesting into knowing how you would, I don't know, kind of like find that balance, you know?
Yeah. Well, time management. Really, you become master of time management, but
Yeah.
also um, sometimes not forgetting to take rest, and you know, to respect also the needs of the body, and accept that I will move slower, because I
Yeah.
need to be able to continue. You know, if I go too fast and I sleep less and I work more, then
Yeah.
I'll just hit the wall at some point, and I want to succeed. So um, kind of planning the time and accepting to move slower than necessary, because also SFM allows for that,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So
Would that be
being
maybe
flexible.
being flexible, right? Yeah. Because I was thinking, would that maybe be one of your like advice that you would give to someone that would be as well dealing pretty much in a similar situation where they have other responsibilities, but yet
Yeah.
they are interested in following this path, but again, like they can't find that balance. Would that be one of the advice that you would give them as well? Like finding that time management for themselves and keep pushing?
Yeah. Mm. From my personal example, what I do is I use my commute time, because I'm not driving, I'm taking trains, trying
Okay.
to be green. um,
Okay.
I'm using the commute time to study. I'm using my lunch hour breaks to study.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
I'm trying to fill in, you know, the gaps that I have
Yeah.
to do this. If my
Yeah.
kids went to bed early enough, then I use this time to also to study and to continue building the website and so on.
Yeah.
So I would say, uh, make sure you have enough time for yourself to rest and to balance all the areas of
Hmm.
your life, because
Hmm.
they're as important as this journey. But
Absolutely.
at the same time, you know, be smart about how you use the time that is not constructively uh, uh, targeted for a specific action like work or cooking or playing with kids or
Right,
I
right.
don't know, spending quality time with your husband, for example.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's really good advice. I certainly think that a lot of people can value that as well, because this can be a huge barrier for so many people, because
Yeah,
again, like, you need that time, and they say it often in the SFM, again, like, it's not for everyone, right? Because
yeah,
it does require a dedication and a particular commitment, which I myself, I need to constantly every day wake up and almost remind myself that, like, I've committed to this, I can do this, and others have managed to do that. So, like, I believe in myself that I can as well. And that's something that I just have to keep reminding myself, because sometimes it's tough, right? Sometimes it's challenging, and
yeah,
you kind of want to
yeah.
compare yourself with other people, but then you don't want to do that because they're different, and, like, you want to stay on your own lane. So it's good advice, very good advice. Um,
My pleasure.
Awesome. Well, Victoria, I thank you so much for coming again on this call.
Thank you for inviting me.
No worries, and thank you for even managing to put it in your lunch schedule. Because I'm like, this is impressive. Like, she literally comes from work, like, in her lunch, trying to, like, connect.
Yeah,
That's awesome. I'm really grateful for that, and I would hope to stay in touch. And I hope definitely that you'll be able to manage to find that balance and to keep going, and that you'll definitely make it. That's for sure. I'm
thank you.
positive for
Thank you
that.
very much.
So good
Thank you,
luck for
Kevin.
work today, and I'll
Thanks.
talk to you soon. Okay.
Yeah. Have a
All right.
good day.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.